What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and for this week's Versus video, you guys decided to venture outside the realms of both Marvel and DC and set up a battle between two different takes on the evil Superman archetype, with Omni-Man from Invincible taking on Homelander from The Boys, which I guess was technically DC at one point because it was published under the Wildstorm imprint for a while, but since it was only for like 6 issues, it's really more closely associated with Dynamite Comics, who took over with issue number 7 than DC. But yeah, I don't know, I don't mean to get into details. But anyway, let's get into the origins and powers of each of these guys and figure out which of them is the superior evil Superman. Now, something I want to specify is I think this might be one of these versus videos that we throw up on the regular YouTube channel, kind of public on the YouTube channel, to kind of entice people and show them the kind of stuff that we do here on Patreon. And so because of that, and even though we're covering Invincible here on Patreon, we haven't really gotten into the true origin of Omni-Man, right? There's the version he told us, but you know, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. So while there is the actual origin of Omni-Man here in this script, we're gonna skip it, right? Because I don't want to spoil Omni-Man's actual origin for you guys. So we'll just jump straight into his powers. So as far as his powers go, Omni-Man's power set is very similar to Superman's, which is to be expected since he's based heavily on Superman. And much like Superman's powers are a result of his Kryptonian physiology, Omni-Man's come from his Viltrumite physiology, since Viltrum is essentially just a version of Krypton. And the list of his powers is likely exactly what you'd expect them to be. Flight, superhuman strength, speed and endurance, invulnerability, a healing factor, nothing too surprising here. Now, Viltrumites are also able to hold their breath for up to 2 weeks, meaning they can survive within the vacuum of space, and they age at a much slower rate. Now, in the Invincible universe, there's no shortage of superheroes operating on Earth, but Omni-Man is by far the strongest among them. So to put things into perspective, this universe had its own version of the Justice League called the Guardians of the Globe, which consisted of versions of Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Flash, Aquaman, Batman, Green Lantern, and yet another version of Superman called the Immortal. But that was Earth's premier superhero team, and we all know what happened to them if you're watching the series. In the comics, it happens a lot faster, but nonetheless, right? Show's got to find a way to build stuff out. But we also saw him with the ability to wipe out an entire alien race, despite being significantly weakened at the time. So going up against Omni-Man, we have Homelander, who was created by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson, and first appeared in The Boys #3 in 2006. Now, we're gonna spoil the heck out of this guy, right? Because if you haven't seen The Boys by now, I don't know what to tell you, right? I mean, that's your fault. That show's amazing. So Homelander was created using DNA from Stormfront, a superpowered being from Germany that became a member of the Führer's Youth, you guys know what I mean, we got to keep it friendly for YouTube, and whose powers were greatly augmented by a drug known as Compound V. Homelander spent his youth in captivity inside a laboratory where he was given repeated doses of Compound V to turn him into a super soldier under the control of a company called Vought American, who traced their roots back to World War II Germany, where they also tried to create superheroes. However, the origin of Homelander, as it was told by the company to the general public, was that he was an alien that landed on Earth, so literally Superman's origin story. But because he is a partial clone of Stormfront, and because of the fact that he grew up in a lab and was repeatedly subjected to experimentation, Homelander's pretty much a psychopath, devoid of morals, and he's also mentally unstable, which results in him committing some pretty unspeakable atrocities. But within the Boys universe, he's the leader of the Seven, which is the version of that universe's Justice League, and is a highly revered superhero to a public that largely doesn't know his true nature. And if you thought Omni-Man's power set was similar to Superman's, Homelander's like, dude, hold my beer. In addition to flight, superhuman strength, speed, and durability, Homelander takes a couple more pages out of the Man of Steel's book, and also possesses both heat vision and X-ray vision. So to get a sense of how strong Homelander is, we'll look at some of his feats from the Boys comic series, including throwing a jet with one hand and casually lifting 800 pounds with another. Now, in terms of durability, when Homelander was kept captive by Vought American, they kept him chained to a nuclear bomb, knowing that anything short of that was unlikely to be a threat. His heat vision is capable of cutting through opponents in an instant, and he was also capable of bringing down an airplane. And so looking at Homelander's feats here, it becomes clear pretty quickly how this battle will play out. Homelander is probably the most powerful super being in his own universe, but the problem for him is that the universe he comes from is just not on the same scale as the Invincible universe. Invincible exists in a universe that seems to pretty closely mirror the universe we find classic superheroes from the Marvel and DC comics. The Boys was created to be a critique of the superhero genre, and the universe that Garth Ennis set up is fairly close to the real world. This means that while the heroes of that universe do some things that make them look amazing when compared to everyday people, they don't really have the insane feats that heroes do in the Invincible universe. There are no cosmic level threats, no villains capable of destroying galaxies present in the Boys stories, because those aren't the kind of stories that Garth Earth and is set out to tell. But in Invincible, Omni-Man is always protecting Earth from aliens that are fully capable of bringing about its destruction. I mean, Omni-Man single-handedly took out his universe's Justice League, who are far more powerful than their counterparts in the boys' universe. So while this battle is intriguing due to the fact that both our combatants are presented as what might happen if Superman were evil, there's really no comparison here, and Omni-Man would absolutely crush Homelander in a fight that was never really even fair to begin with. But yeah, that's how I see that going down, guys. But if you guys are new here, since we're putting this on the public YouTube channel, if you guys are new here to Comics Explained, make sure you guys hit the sub button to become part of the Rob Corps. Patrons, people who are part of Patreon, make sure you guys keep an eye out for the poll for next week's video, right? You guys know on Patreon, you guys get to vote for the polls or get to vote for the versus battles. Keep an eye out there, and we'll keep the next one on Patreon. So anyway, guys, we're gonna bring this to an end, and I will catch you all later. Peace.